This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Are you insane?
This is a sham.
No. Nope.
Y'all, just
It's
stop.
finally here. Drum roll. Welcome to DBL. I'm Sam here with Jeff, Al, and Tori. Today, we're looking back at some of our favorite celebrity interviews, like our hilarious conversation with comedian Joy Coy. Did I say that right?
Joe Coy. It said Joy in the.
It says Joy in the
Joy sounds like his mom.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. And sometimes I just like read it verbatim. I don't self-edit, but I should have. Joe, we all love Joe. He's been on the show a couple of times. And he revealed his hack for making perfect rice and why Chelsea Handler poured vodka in his ear. Take a look.
I'm gonna shoot this out of a cannon for you. Why did Chelsea Handler pour vodka in your ear? I just gotta know.
She's okay. So I went with my family on a vacation. Oh my God, she did this. She's something, man. So I had water in my ear and I couldn't get it out. She goes, just put alcohol in it. And I said I didn't have alcohol, and she goes, I got some Belvedere. Let's use it. And she poured it in my ear. It worked.
No way.
Whoa. Well, let's just warn our viewers. Hey, viewers, just talk to your doctor first. Don't listen to Joe Coy. Talk to your doctor.
Yeah, our DBL lawyers just had a heart attack.
Like, no offense.
Hilarious.
No offense, but we're going to need a medical opinion.
You guys said that. Let's go to a doctor for that one.
Tell her that we said it with love, okay? So you recently returned to stand-up. And one of my favorite stories you tell is about you learning how to make rice from your mom. We do have a clip, so let's take a look.
I remember that day. I'm going to teach you how to make rice, and this is the only time I'm going to teach you. Okay? How do I do it? You take a couple scoops of rice, Joseph, put it in the pot. Put water in the pot, squish it around. Clean the rice like that. If the water's cloudy, the rice is dirty, pour that water out. Put more water in there, squish it around. This is how you cook perfect rice. I want the world to know that right now.
So have you taught your son how to make perfect rice?
I'm teaching the world. You know what's funny is that's another one that Chelsea and I did. Chelsea made me go to her house and teach her how to make the rice. And of course, it came out wrong. I don't get it, man.
I like that. I don't know why. I always like when someone goes there with like an intention and then it
fails.
Yeah, I was broke in college, and I was like, I'll just buy a bunch of rice to like stretch my meals. And as a black dude, I'd never made rice. I'm like, add water and boil it, and it was just like a snowball.
You're not washing rice.
I did not know what I was doing. So everybody does. You're doing the Lord's work. Teach everybody how to make good rice.
Al, when you make rice, people are like, is this mashed potatoes?
Yeah. I'd be like, yeah, it's just a different take on mashed potatoes, all right? Just eat it. All right, now let's talk about the important stuff. Metal Shop Masters, because I'm dying to know, like when you're on a set like this, do you pick up any metal working skills?
Ooh.
And well,
Absolutely not. Not one. He's good. Incredible. I'm telling you, I've never met these are the most amazing artists on earth. I swear, they took garbage cans, scrap metal, old cars, old car tires, and then they would just make these big, beautiful sculptures. I mean, these artists are not recognized, and I can't wait for this show to come out because they need their light. They need to shine because what they do is incredible. Incredible.
I love that. In fact, you have like a really cool metal sculpture behind you. Was that from one of the artists in the show?
That's so funny. I thought you were talking about the Christmas lights because I'm lazy to take them out of my house.
Not the Christmas lights. A little early there, buddy.
How cool is that chandelier?
Yes.
I was going to mention that when we first started the show, but I was like, is that unprofessional? But I was like, I love that.
Is that from them? Go ahead.
When do you put up your Christmas lights? Do you put them up after Halloween, or do you wait till December?
After Thanksgiving.
Oh, I put these up 4 years ago.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
They are not coming down ever.
There you go. So before.
The better question is, when do you plug them in? After Thanksgiving.
That's a good point.
You don't take them down, you just plug them in.
Do you plug them in all year round?
Oh, right when Christmas starts, I don't stop. I never take them out. It's like, how can you not love Christmas lights? I let them go until about March.
Yeah.
And then the neighbors are like, take them down, Joe. Take them down.
And coming up on DBL, we get Chelsea Handler's take on why she poured vodka in Joe's ear, and the story of a woman who was accused of a crime she didn't commit. But get this, the crime never even happened.
Do you make $75,000 or less? Democrats' new army of 87,000 IRS agents will be coming for you. That warning from House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy has people on social media worried that the IRS is hiring more agents to target the middle class. But that's not true. Using these sources, let me walk you through where that 87,000 number came from and what the IRS is actually planning to do. The Senate recently passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which includes $80 billion in funding to the IRS over the next 10 years. According to the bill, which was passed by Congress and is awaiting President Biden's signature, about half of that IRS funding would be put towards expenses for the agency's task enforcement services. And that does include hiring more people. But the bill doesn't specify how many people. And the U.S. Department of the Treasury says claims that new agents will be hired to audit the middle class are false. So where did that 87,000 number come from? Well, we traced it to this May 2021 report from the Treasury Department, which estimated how many full-time employees the IRS could hire over the next decade if they received $80 billion in funding. The Treasury is projecting that 50,000 IRS staff members will retire or leave the agency in the next 5 years, and many of the projected hires would be to fill those vacated roles. And not all of these new hires will be agents tasked with auditing. In a recent letter, IRS Commissioner Charles Rettig assured senators that the IRS would not increase audit scrutiny on small businesses or middle-income Americans. A spokesperson for the Treasury Department confirmed what the commissioner said, adding that new hires will include some new auditors who will focus on corporate and high-end tax evaders, as well as other staffers tasked with improving taxpayer services. So we can verify, no, the IRS is not increasing audits on the middle class, nor are they hiring 87,000 new auditors. With your Verify, I'm Ariande Till. Are you skeptical of headlines and what you see on social media? We are too. The Verify newsletter helps you distinguish between true and false information by answering your questions. It provides fast facts on trending topics, spotlights major stories, and even includes a daily fun fact for all those trivia buffs out there. Get Verify's fast facts delivered every weekday to your email inbox. Go to verifythis.com/email to check it out.
Welcome back to DBL. Earlier, we aired our interview with Joe Coy, where he revealed Chelsea Handler's hack for getting water out of his ear. Now, here's our chat with Chelsea, who also talked about that very hack. Take a look.
Good morning, boys and girls. How are you?
That's appropriate. We've been acting like children all day. We are doing well. It's so good to have you on here, Chelsea. We talk a lot about mental health here on this show and how laughter definitely can be the best medicine. Since you're big on therapy, myself as well, how has it helped you make people laugh?
Well, it's made me calm down, which was the biggest problem, because I just found people so incredibly annoying. Even when I was on stage and I was the one holding the microphone, I somehow still found people annoying. So I had to really go in there and just say, listen, I have no patience, and yeah, everyone annoys me. I need to like break this down. So it kind of, you know, once you get a little gift, I call it the gift of self-awareness, right? Wow. You're paying somebody to tell you what's wrong with you. And I think that's the greatest transaction that it's the best investment I ever made. So it just kind of calmed me down and made me realize, you know, to stop thinking of everything from my own perspective and kind of take in what other people are experiencing that are unlike me. And then that makes you a kind of more patient person. So I needed a professional doctor to explain all of that to me.
Shout out to therapy. Now, your new comedy tour, and I appreciate you naming this so I can say this on TV, is called Vaccinated and Horny.
Yes. Now, did you have to say it like that?
I got to put a little stank on it. All right.
Wait. He and I practiced this all morning. He said it perfectly.
Called me 4 o'clock in the morning. Get up. Now, you know, I have to know, based on the title, what is the funniest thing about people having sex during the pandemic?
Well, my funniest experience about that during the pandemic was having my own COVID tests at my house, because at a certain point, after like 2 months, I realized, well, wait a second, this could go on for years, and I would like to make sure that I am keeping myself active, you know? So I got my own COVID, they were called Q Health COVID tests. I had them in my house, so I would invite potential suitors to my backyard, where I would give them promptly, as soon as they arrived, a nasal swab, and then I would put it in the cartridge in my kitchen, come back outside and interview them for the next 30 minutes. And if they said anything that was annoying, like, I don't think masks work, or I saw a pinky ring, for instance, then I would come out and say, I just got your test results, you're positive, you're gonna need to leave.
Your pinky ring positive. Yeah. That's hilarious. All right, let's get dirty.
Pinky rings, yeah, that's a deal breaker. It's like seeing a studded belt. You know, you're in and then you're out. You're like, oh no
more. Let's get dirty earwax. Dirty. I have small tubes, and I want to talk about this ear thing that's going on with you.
Sounds like a euphemism.
It kind of is, but she knows what I'm talking about.
Oh.
Yes, we recently had fellow comedian Joe Coy on our show. He shared a surprising hack of yours, which I've been loving. You pour vodka in people's ear to clear out trapped ocean water. Now, we warned our viewers not to try it, but we got to know, how did you discover this hack? I use hydrogen peroxide and some hope.
Hope?
Yeah. Hope. Oh, yeah. Hope is always good. Hydrogen peroxide will work. Isopropyl will work. You know, any of those things. I just love Belvedere, so I just figure, you know, if I could pour that in somebody's ear, why not? That's my vodka of choice. But it does work.
It does.
I mean, I'll say it. I'll absolve you guys from any guilt. I'm not a medical practitioner or a doctor, but I like to think that I am. So I try all of my little things on my friends. But someone taught me that on a boat once, because I couldn't, you know, when you're dumping around trying to get the water out of your ear and look like a giant idiot, somebody was like, you know, you could just pour alcohol in it, and then you feel the sizzle, and it just evaporates, and you're like, oh, it's almost kind of addictive. I'm like, I want to get some more water in my ear.
Chelsea, you're not a doctor, but you do give good advice on your podcast. What's the best advice that you ever gave someone?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that is good.
One guy, Shane, called in, and he had been smoking too much cannabis, and he said he wasn't getting stoned anymore. And I said, well, let's do a 30-day break. I'll do it with you in solidarity. Let's clear your head out. You shouldn't be smoking that much cannabis anyway. If you can't get stoned, what's the point? And we did a 30-day break, and when he called back, he said in that time, he gained so much clarity that he came out to his family as trans. Wow. And he had been hiding that for years. Aww. And he had gotten a different job. Like, just taking that 30-day break for him was life-changing. And, you know, that's when I would realize, I'm like, okay, I need to take this more seriously, because people are taking me seriously, you know? I mean, the people who are calling, obviously not the whole world, thank God. But the people that are calling, you know, I want to have an impact that's positive, that feels like you've got, you know, your big sister in your corner.
You only heard our conversation. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Probably the cutest couple ever, Joe Coy and Chelsea Handler. Sorry, Karen.
No, but can I be honest? She recently came out as together with Joe Coy, and she said this: women, I always thought I'd never find someone, and I have to create myself into what a man wants, but I found the one. Don't change yourself. You can find him.
And even if they don't last, right? If it's not forever, like right now, they seem like they're having a really good time. Just a lot of PDA.
Lots. I love it.
And sometimes that's it. Sometimes every relationship isn't supposed to be to the end of time. Sometimes you just have a good 2-year run. Mm-hmm. That's okay, too.
Mm-hmm. Putting a number on them?
Yeah, you know, summer, long weekend, whatever.
We'll be right back.
Few issues have Americans' attention right now more than inflation, which has reached levels not seen since the 80s. But President Joe Biden recently claimed good news, tweeting, quote, July's 0% inflation and last week's booming jobs report underscore the kind of economy we're building. But is that actually true? Was there really 0% inflation in July? Well, to verify, we went to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Federal Reserve. Inflation is just a measure of how much prices are increasing. The Bureau of Labor Statistics tracks the price of common goods to create the Consumer Price Index, or CPI, and it measures changes in price both from month to month and year to year. So if you look at the month of July, you can see the CPI did not increase at all. meaning prices did not rise from the end of June to the end of July. So it is accurate to say there was no new inflation in the month of July. And Biden's statistic of, quote, July's 0% inflation is correct. But if you compare prices in July 2022 to July 2021, you'll see they increased 8.5%. The Federal Reserve says the ideal annual inflation rate is 2%. So we're still many times higher than that, and inflation is definitely still a problem. But it didn't become a worse problem in July, indicating it could at least be slowing down. Of course, because CPI is an index of a bunch of different goods, how inflation is actually affecting you will vary depending on where you live and what you buy. For instance, gas prices are going down, but food prices are still rising. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
Welcome back to DBL. Imagine being imprisoned for more than a decade for a horrific crime that never occurred. It happened to a group of women dubbed the San Antonio Four. Earlier, we spoke with one of them. Here is another look at her story in today's Freedom Files, Wrongfully Convicted.
Sometimes the weight of a secret can be crushing. And 18-year-old Ana Vasquez is holding her secret close.
I have always been a lesbian. At the age of like 7 or 8, I was interested in girls. Was I out? No, I wasn't.
The only people who know are her closest friends, Liz, Christy, and Cassandra.
They were also kind of dealing with the same thing, dealing with the same issues in their own lives.
In July of 1994, the women hang out with Liz while she watches her 7-year-old and 9-year-old nieces. But Ana notices a dark cloud over the little girl's father.
He wanted to be in a relationship with Liz. When he found out that Elizabeth was a lesbian, he just didn't like it.
Less than a year later, the 4 women are indicted after the young girls say they were molested by the group during their summer stay. The girls' Aunt Liz is dubbed the ringleader. She is convicted and sentenced to 37.5 years in prison. Exactly 1 year later, Ana and the remaining 2 women stand trial together. Liz's nieces take the stand in both trials.
My emotions to hearing what the little girls were saying was very heartbreaking, in disbelief, shock. It's really hard to hear that you are doing these horrific things to innocent children.
As a final blow, the prosecution puts a doctor on the stand.
The thing that hurt us was the pediatrician and what she testified to as being signs of sexual trauma.
All 3 women are found guilty of aggravated sexual assault of a child and indecency with a child. They are sentenced to 15 years in prison. Ana quickly learns that her sexual assault conviction puts her in harm's way, so she lies.
For a very long time, I always said that I was in prison for aggravated assault. You know, like I can look like a badass, right?
Then in 2006, a professor who is studying female sex offenders reaches out.
He did his own research on us, on the case, and reached out to an organization that focused on child sexual abuse and the LGBTQ community.
While the Dallas Integrity Unit reinvestigates the case, the youngest victim recants her testimony. Then the pediatrician comes forward.
She said, "This is not true, and had I known the science back then, I would have never testified to it. And I'll never testify to that science now."
In 2016, the San Antonio Four are exonerated.
And the feeling was just, in a sense, it was like, you see, I told you so.
All 4 women are declared innocent.
Anna, thank you so much for joining us here in DBL. Your story is really important.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
So looking back on your case, what, and I know a lot of it must upset you, but is there one specific moment or person that upsets you the most?
There is a pediatrician that was the quote unquote expert witness in this case that, kind of identified us as satanic worshipers at the time. Being so young that I wasn't really familiar of my surroundings in what people were thinking at that particular time.
I'm sorry. I'm shaking my head. I can't believe that Satan was introduced at her trial, and you have to give me a second because I've read this and it's still shocking to me. What was more shocking is like after prison, you were able to meet with one of the girls that testified against you. What did you learn about her story in that meeting?
To be honest with you, it was everything that I thought could have happened. This was being told to her to say these horrible things about me. And it was just confirmed during that meeting. She was so brave to be able to come out to tell the truth. Unfortunately, going against her family and being kicked out of what she ever knew, but she was so strong, and I completely commend her for that.
In the early 90s, unfortunately, there were a lot of stereotypes about the LGBTQ community. How did those stereotypes impact your case specifically? And do you believe that your case would have had a different outcome if it happened today in 2021?
That's a very good question. Do I think that it might have been a different time today? Maybe it wouldn't have gone as far as it did. But unfortunately, because I'm dealing with the Innocence Project of Texas as their outreach and education, I still continue to see these flaws in our system. Do I think that it played a part, being a part of the LGBTQ community back then? Absolutely. The stereotype was horrific. There was no public display of affection out there like it is today. It's so much more accepting. But back then, when I was accused of this, it was not accepted at all. It was almost like I was in hiding for so long.
After your exoneration, you said that you felt lost, but you were able to find your purpose again. How did you do that?
I'm one of the fortunate ones, and I thank God every day for that. Because there are so many people that don't find themselves again. They cannot get over the fact that this happened to them, and they've lost so many years of their life. Even though I am completely innocent, I was, compensated by the state of Texas. My record completely, expunged. I still have problems with coping to society. I have problems with trust issues. I have problems with my relationship. There's just so many different things that I think people don't realize that it does have an effect, and it's a long-lasting effect. There has to be changes.
Well said. And to those looking to help, speaking of which, visit the Innocence Project of Texas.org. There are multiple ways you can get involved in the movement of change. Thank you so much, Anna. We'll be right back.
Thank you so much.
You've seen the photos, blisters and bumps on the skin, what many have come to know as the hallmark of a monkeypox infection. But does it always look like this? Our question, does a monkeypox rash always happen outside of the body? Our sources, Dr. Cameron Wolf, an infectious disease specialist with Duke Health, and the CDC.
You don't need to have skin surface blisters. I think that's actually a big part of clinician education, is that it's not just the skin lesions.
Wolf says sometimes the rash appears on what are called the mucous membranes. Those are the moist inner linings of some organs and body cavities.
They can be in the mouth. They can be inside the rectum, for example. They can be in the vaginal canal.
In fact, an early CDC analysis of monkeypox cases in the U.S. found the rash was most frequently reported on the genitals, with 46% of people experiencing that. The next most common places for the rash were arms, face, and legs. Wolf says it's why healthcare providers should be attuned to other red flags that might indicate hidden blisters.
Rectal pain, pain on defecation is a common way of finding it.
So we can verify, no, a monkeypox rash is not always outside of the body, and doctors say knowing that might help some detect infections sooner.
You probably think of airbags as protection in case of a collision, not necessarily something that needs to be protected. That's why we're asking, why are thieves targeting airbags? How can you prevent an airbag theft? And what happens after your airbag is stolen?
It's not really an explosion. It's just a bunch of gases releasing in a pressurized manner in order to inflate a nice fluffy airbag.
To verify, we turn to Laura Garcia, automotive instructor at Northern Virginia Community College, the National Insurance Crime Bureau, and the Montgomery County Police Department.
Airbags are very expensive,
upping their value on the black market. And she says prices are currently inflated because of supply chain issues. And these stolen airbags can also be linked to insurance fraud.
Let's say a vehicle gets into an accident, an insurance company pays for a legitimate airbag, but here that shop maybe isn't that reputable and will just buy another airbag off the street for a much lower price. They get to keep that profit.
The NICB estimates 50,000 airbags are stolen each year, costing car owners and insurers more than $50 million. But costing criminals little time at all.
And voila! You have your airbag.
To deter possible thieves, MGPD recommends parking in well-lit, known areas, investing in cameras, alarms, or clubs, and always locking doors and windows.
Just sort of the things you would do to prevent general theft anyway.
And if you do get your airbags stolen, NICB says it's important to take your car to an automotive professional.
Airbags are inherently dangerous.
You'll also want to go to a pro if your airbag light comes on. It could be a sign of a faulty, fake, or improperly installed device.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments and questions about us. In fact, Kayla has a question for Al. Are you ready,
no.
Al? Okay.
Yes.
She wants to know, what is the one skill you wish you had?
I wish I was better at like outdoor stuff.
Oh yeah, I went camping with you.
I'm not. I wish, and yeah.
Al put wet leaves in a fire to start
that would
a fire.
help. He thought that
I'm
would
glad
help.
I tried to open up, and like you guys really attacked me.
Hey, buddy, you're on the winning team.
Thank
You're
you.
just
That's
fine in
right.
the outdoors.
I was with Jeff. Saved my life. I would still be out there.
I remember watching you with the wet leaves, being like, "What is he doing?"
Not good.
Maybe I'm crazy
it was good
like
for
a
Tori
fox.
and I.
We did take that challenge.
And the next question is for me, from Carl. He asks, who is the rudest celebrity you served in restaurants or bars back in the day? Oh my gosh.
Spill the tea.
I would say back then it was Lindsay Lohan, but she was using at the time, so perhaps it was because of her
Right.
addiction.
Oh, we gotta go.
Right.
Yeah.
Drop the ball.
Bye, guys.